glad you're here. Today we're going to talk about a viral figure over the last few days. Abdullah Hashem Abba al-Sadiq, born on July the 27th, 1983, is an Egyptian-American religious leader and founder of the Ahmadi religion of peace and light. Here are 10 contentious facts about him. 1. Claims of religious authority. Abdullah Hashem Abba al-Sadiq has stirred global controversy by declaring himself the Qa'im, known as riser, of the family of Muhammad, a messianic figure expected in some Islamic traditions. He claims to be the second of 12 Mahdis, based on a disputed will attributed to the Prophet Muhammad. More uniquely, he also asserts himself to be the legitimate successor to Simon Peter, thus positioning himself as the true pope. These declarations challenge both Islamic and Christian hierarchies. His movement claims that mainstream religions have deviated from divine instruction and that he is sent to restore original truth through God's authority. 2. Viral speeches. Abba al-Sadiq gained wide visibility through viral online videos, most notably a speech filmed near the Vatican in which he declared himself the true pope. His addresses often include formal, prophetic language with scriptural references that resonate with his followers. Critics see these speeches as self-aggrandizing or manipulative, while supporters view them as bold calls to spiritual reform. His public challenges to established religious authorities have amplified both support and backlash. The viral nature of his speeches has made him a subject of media attention and theological debate, especially in religious forums and fringe communities online. 3rd, allegations of misconduct. Many allegations have surfaced regarding misconduct within the Ahmadi religion of peace and light, though none have been legally substantiated. Critics claim that Abba al-Sadiq has arranged marriages between followers or pressured members into acts of loyalty and submission. These claims have mostly come from ex-members or opponents of the movement. Supporters of Abba al-Sadiq deny these accusations, framing them as slander from detractors or part of wider persecution. Because of the group's small size and internal structure, independent verification is limited. The allegations continue to circulate in online forums, adding to the group's controversial profile. 4th, persecution of followers. Followers of Abba al-Sadiq and the Ahmadi religion of peace and light have faced real-world persecution in several countries. In Malaysia, Turkey, Iran, and others, members have been detained, deported, or denied asylum because of their association with the movement. These actions often stem from local religious intolerance, as mainstream Islamic institutions reject the group's theology. Human rights organizations have raised concerns about the suppression of religious freedom in these cases. Despite the pressure, the group remains active, and many followers see this persecution as a prophetic sign or test of faith, strengthening their commitment to the movement. 5. Views on the LGBTQ+ community. Unlike many conservative Islamic movements, Abba al-Sadiq has taken a notably tolerant approach toward LGBTQ+ individuals. While his teachings do not affirm same-sex relationships as spiritually ideal, he emphasizes compassion, dignity, and inclusion, stating that the kingdom of heaven will always be open, even to those traditionally condemned, despite how verses like 1 Corinthians 6:9-10 or Surah Al-A'raf 7:80-81 have been interpreted to reject them. He invites LGBTQ+ people to join the movement if they accept its broader beliefs, and he speaks against violence or hatred directed toward them. This position sets his movement apart from traditional religious interpretations, both Islamic and Christian. His nuanced stance has been welcomed by some progressive observers and criticized by fundamentalist voices. It also contributes to his broader message of reform and divine mercy. 6. Many followers refer to Abba al-Sadiq as father, raising concerns of idolization, especially in light of Matthew 23:9. Call no man your father upon the earth. This veneration is fueled by reported miracles, healings, visions, and protection. But throughout history and modern times, spiritual signs have accompanied controversial figures. The Bible itself reminds us in Psalm 82 verse 6, "I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High," emphasizing latent spiritual potential. Additionally, Matthew 17:21 connects spiritual power to discipline. "This kind goeth not out, but by prayer and fasting." The line between reverence and worship remains delicate. 7. Rejection of traditional prayer and rituals. Abba al-Sadiq has rejected the traditional Islamic forms of prayer, salat, ablution, wudu, and fasting as practiced in mainstream Islam. Instead, he teaches a new spiritual framework that dismisses these rituals as corrupted or no longer applicable in their current form. This radical departure from foundational religious obligations causes both theological outrage and confusion, even among reformist Muslims. He claims divine authority to update or reinterpret these practices, which traditional scholars view as heresy. 8. Claim to be the successor of all prophets, not just one lineage. Beyond asserting himself as the Qarim and Pope, Abba al-Sadiq has made statements implying that he is the spiritual inheritor of all major prophets, including Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. This universal claim to divine succession places him above the role of any single religious leader and suggests a superseding prophetic role, which is deeply controversial across monotheistic faiths. This idea resembles past claimants of messianic or final figures and is seen by many as a claim to ultimate religious authority on earth. 9th, reinterpretation of the Antichrist. Abba al-Sadiq's movement teaches that the commonly accepted figure of the Antichrist, Dajjal, is not a literal end-times enemy, but a system, or even the modern religious establishments themselves. Inverting traditional eschatology, he implies that many mainstream institutions, including Islamic and Christian hierarchies, fulfill the role of deceiving the masses in God's name. This direct condemnation of established religious leadership as satanic or false is deeply inflammatory and borders on political as well as spiritual provocation. 10. Use of coded language and internal doctrines. The Ahmadi religion of peace and light uses coded language and layered teachings, which are only fully revealed to those deeply initiated into the movement. Phrases that sound symbolic or poetic to outsiders may carry hidden theological or eschatological meanings known only within. This secrecy has drawn comparisons to cult-like structures, raising suspicions about what teachings are being withheld from public view. Critics argue that this creates an inner circle mentality that undermines transparency and encourages blind loyalty. Some of these terms are the divine just state. On the surface, this phrase may sound like a call for fairness or God's justice. However, within the movement, it is a reference to the future literal, physical kingdom that they believe will be ruled by Abba al-Sadiq himself or his appointed lineage. It's not just a spiritual concept, but a real-world political vision of governance that supersedes current governments and religious institutions. To outsiders, it may seem symbolic, but to followers, it's a prophesied global transformation. The Qaim and the Mahdi. While these terms exist in Islamic eschatology, within the movement they take on a uniquely redefined structure. The Qaim is not just a prophesied figure who rises against injustice, but the current spiritual authority on earth, and by claiming this role, Abba al-Sadiq redefines all prior understanding. Further, he claims to be only the second of 12 Mahdis, a belief that most Muslims do not accept, making it a doctrinal code within the group. The Seal of the Light. Used in some speeches and writings, this phrase can sound poetic or symbolic to outsiders. However, within the movement, it refers specifically to the divine role of Abdullah Hashem as the final bearer of God's true message, a status comparable to finality in spiritual authority. Light itself is often used interchangeably to mean truth, divinity, or guidance, and followers are trained to distinguish this light from the corrupted light they believe exists in mainstream religions. The line of the living. This phrase refers to those who have accepted the true message and are considered spiritually alive, in contrast to the rest of humanity, who are dead in faith despite being physically alive. This echoes esoteric language used in other fringe or apocalyptic groups, but in the Ahmadi religion of peace and light, it's tightly tied to loyalty.
The doors of the Dawah has been, is, and forever always will be open to all of them, no matter what it is that they have done in life, no matter where it is that they are going, no matter what it is that they are doing currently. I think there's a lot of pressure out there on religion and religious groups.
If this gave you something to reflect on, I invite you to join me in the next video.